This stuff is spiralling out of control in the UK, and if you're having your breakfast, I apologise, but in the UK, there are complaints now. School children are being taught about anal sex and orgasms before they've even reached puberty. Masturbation is set as a homework to do. Teachers are indoctrinating kids with all this stuff about transgenderism and gender fluidity, as we heard earlier. We also have the NHS, the health service there, facing a mass legal action from 1,000 families who claim that their children were rushed into taking life-changing puberty blockers. So that's all that's happening in the UK. And when it happens in the UK, don't worry, it happens here a couple of months or years later.
And Rowan, just to pick up on the point that Rita was making about the opportunity for, the centre-right, for the Liberals here, the coalition, you've got this is where the moderates get it absolutely wrong. And this is why, the Liberals are struggling with an awful lot of groups. It's because really, in fact, outside of these sort of bubbles that they live in, people are much more socially conservative about this stuff. And the point is, they get locked into these sort of, libertarian sort of Twitter bubbles where they think everybody is economically libertarian and socially libertarian because that's what they are. Poll after poll after shows that people are actually, mostly they cluster in the exact opposite direction. And there's a big lesson there for the Liberals where you actually go back to real conservative principles, not this sort of, nonsensical
I think
stuff.
Peter Dutton instinctively understands that. I think he's the hope of the side. I think all the state parties, Liberal parties, is floundering. They don't get that at all. But fortunately, Peter Dutton does seem to understand.
Well, does he? Because it took him 10 months to actually come out against the Voice.
Are we going to have this one again? Because I think that was politically...
But he did come out against it. That's the point. And he's coming out stronger and stronger against it. But I do think on these sorts of cultural issues, you're 100% right, Rita, that is there for the taking. The Liberal Party can take those constituencies. Seats like Chris Bowen's should fall tomorrow if the Liberal Party got out there and fought in the western suburbs of Sydney, Melbourne, for these conservative values. They would romp it in. Instead, they ignore them. They buried Catherine Deves in the last election.
Well, they put Catherine Deves in the wrong seat. They put Catherine Deves
They also put a gag around her mouth.
Yeah, well, there's that too.
Well, why would you put her in precisely that sort of bubble seat that
stick
James
her out in the western suburbs, she'd romp in. Yeah.
Well, Victoria is, again, such a perfect example of what we're talking about here because the opposition leader there, Prosciutto, had the most golden opportunity to seize this as an issue where he's on solid ground with 80% plus of the electorate, most Labor voters, never mind most Liberal voters. So when Dan Andrews came out against these women and was just so abhorrent in how he described them, blamed them for the actions of these cosplaying Nazi men, he could have seized that opportunity to say, no. One, you're not going to bully my MP. Two, you're not going to blame women for the actions of men. And three, we stand up for women's rights and we stand up for women's only spaces and women's only sports. But no, he said, I'm going to be meaner than Dan. I'm going to defame my MP even more than Dan
Well, the
did.
Victorian Libs, last week we said on this show, here's your chance. Get Roscom, John Roscom. He was up for pre-selection. He missed by one vote. You blew it. You blew it, Libs. Sorry, hate to say it. I'm sure the young girl is lovely. I'm sure she'll do a great job, but you should have got Roscom in there.